Hey everybody, thank you for watching. It's Tisha and I'm very excited to do today's video because I love a good tag video. So I had planned, if I ever did start this channel, to go back and do some of the tags that I loved watching last year. I think it was about the end of last year. And this one was created, this is the favorite palette from every brand that I own tag, and it was created by Mel Thompson, who I've watched for years. She's stunning. She's so good at makeup. She's a makeup artist. She loves tattoos, which I love. She's got a palette in here that I love. And if that sounds exciting to you, we'll get into it. On this channel, I'm gonna bring you a lot of Bath & Body Works content, but also makeup, because they're both things I'm very into and I love buying them, but then I also love talking about them. So I figured I would kind of mix it up, and I do have a couple of hauls coming, but they haven't reached me yet. So today we'll just do this tag video. And so we're gonna start. The only rule that she said in her video and the other people that I've watched was that you have to have 3 palettes by that brand, because again, if you only have 1 palette, that's your favorite one. So all of the brands I'm gonna share with you today are brands that I have at least 3 palettes with. So it's not everything in my collection, but it's gonna be quite a big part of it, because if I love it, I've probably gone back and bought more, right? So it's a mix of affordable and high-end. I do like to splurge on eyeshadow palettes, so you will see quite a few high-ends. And then I might do a couple of runner-ups at the end, just palettes that are my favorite, but I only end up having 2 of, and I probably decluttered recently. I do love to give away makeup if I haven't used it and it's gonna suit someone that I know, or a family member or a friend. I don't give away a ton. I don't have like, you know, like I receive PR amount, but I do purchase quite a bit. This is my hobby. It's a weird hobby. So I have more than I need, and so I like to share. But we'll just jump right in. So the first brand that I have quite a bit of, and if you just saw my Boxy Pop-Up haul video, I'm not sure if it's going up before or after this, but I just got a whole bunch more. But these 2 are very loved on, and they're Natasha Denona. And so I have the Love palette, which is going to be reflective with my lights, but it's a very reflective palette. But this is the Color Story. And then also one that I use quite a bit is the Mini Zendo. And it's kind of got a similar color story. Like I said, I stick to things I like. So if it's a color story I like, you'll probably see it multiple times in my collection. But Natasha Denona is a brand that is expensive, but the quality is very nice. So if you like to treat yourself every once in a while, it's definitely a brand to consider. I definitely didn't for a little while, and I bought other things in its place, and I like to find a good deal, but now I know I treat myself because I'm gonna spend the money anyways. But a brand that I used to love quite a bit more, and I ended up having only 4 palettes, but at one time I would say I probably had 10 times that amount, not 10 times, but a lot, was Tarte. But this is my favorite, and I don't really even use it anymore. It's the Love, Trust, and Fairy Dust palette. But this Color Story was just something that I used to use all the time, and you really can't tell. A couple of the shades you can, but I just love a good mauve, purple plum Color Story. So I hold on to this one because I loved the packaging. It's so cute with the stars in there. And Tarte is a brand that just caters very much to like a neutral toned look. They do have some colorful palettes, but a lot of times they look very much like this one. And I think that's kind of why I stopped purchasing, because at one point it just kind of seemed like I had everything, but I still had quite a few, and I do love the ones that I kept. Another brand that I don't purchase from a ton anymore, but I do still have about 3 palettes in my collection, is the Lorac Pro line. And this is my favorite of the ones that I own. I own bigger ones, but I love this because I can go into this and there's no guesswork. I, darken up the end, put this, it's like a one and done shade for me right here. That's gonna, highlight my brow bone or the inner corner. And so this is just one that if I am not gonna wear a lot of makeup, I can still go into. And it was called the Pocket Palette, and I've had it for a very long time. I don't believe you can actually get it anymore, but the new palettes that they've come out with recently look very much like this one. So I think you can get the shades, but I just loved this palette. I went through 1, maybe 2, back before I had this much, and you could actually go through makeup. This was something that I had to repurchase because I think it was that middle shade, but gone. And I was very proud of that back then. Don't think I could do it anymore. Another brand, and this one I kept the box because I loved it. I don't do that very often just because they're annoying, but it's Too Faced, and this, I have quite a few. They're older. It's a brand that if I were ever going to do a major declutter, I probably would get rid of most because they don't really strike my fancy anymore. But this one came out this last year, Pumpkin Spice, and this color story was very fall with the muted jewel tones and the pops of green, that pumpkin orange shade there. It smelled really good, which I don't mind on eyeshadows. I don't love in skincare, but this was my favorite one that I'd ever gotten, and I used it quite a bit when I first got it. And like I said, I kept the box just because this one's cute. It looked like a little pumpkin dessert. So I normally don't do that, but that is my favorite palette from Too Faced. And then another brand that I love, but I haven't been purchasing from that often, but this was hands down the best palette they've ever done. I will say it. And it's in collaboration with Jackie Aina, and it's just called the Jackie Aina palette with Anastasia ABH. That's fine, right? Anastasia of Beverly Hills. I never knew I would have such a problem with that. But the color story on this was just stunning. And I remember her video when she posted it, and I couldn't have been happier because she deserved that makeup recognition. And if I can't talk today, I can't do this video today. I have so much to say. But the color story is beautiful. This color up here, Lituation, and she went through and like the names on these are awesome. And then Sponsored. They're like shades I don't have anywhere else in my collection, which is really hard to say after you've been collecting for years. So that is the best palette, hands down. And I have a few in my collection that I'll never get rid of because they're my favorite palettes. But as of recently, I haven't been buying that much from Anastasia Beverly Hills, if I'm being honest. And I can't say that name either, now I know. And then the next palette is the collaboration with Mel Thompson and Sydney Grace. Sydney Grace is a brand that in 2020, I was just buying so much makeup from. But this was the first palette, and it was to support Mel. I was hearing everyone talk about Sydney Grace eyeshadows, and I thought, could they really be that revolutionary? Yes, they are doing something special over there at Sydney Grace. And this color story is just gorgeous. It's so muted jewel tones, which I guess were my thing last year. This shade over here, Scarab, is like that blue brown. One of the coolest things that ever happened to makeup to me is when they made that blue brown shifty shade. So duochrome, if you will. But this palette just keeps selling out, and they keep restocking. But I'm telling you, and I mean, if you like makeup and you're watching this channel, then you already know about her. But this artwork was designed by Mel Thompson's tattoo artist, which I just think is such a cool personal touch. But I don't know, these shades, I don't have anything like it. I really, really don't. They look like I do, but when you use a Sydney Grace eyeshadow, it's different. And so again, not very many of my palettes, but I kept the box because this was special. And it was the first thing I tried from Sydney Grace, and now I have, I think I have every palette. I think. There isn't a lot, which I love. They're an indie brand, but the Enduring Love palette's amazing. Autumn's Rain is amazing. I got the Summer Days palette, and it all started with this one. So I will have this for a long, long time, and I use it quite often, and it is beautiful. So that was one from Sydney Grace. And then the next one is Huda Beauty, which a lot of my Huda palettes are those 9-pan palettes. That's a price point that I feel very comfortable at, $29. And then I usually wait for a sale. But when I saw this one come out, it's the Mercury Retrograde. I wanted it so bad. And I actually got this one on sale. I did wait. I have been trying so hard not to buy things the second that they come out. So I did get this one at a slightly discounted price. But again, I mean, if you're not sick of me saying it at this point, it's a muted jewel tone. Like, it's beautiful though, but this one does really scream spring to me. So I've pulled this out recently and been trying to make a few new looks out of it, giving an old palette some love. But her palette designs, these bigger ones, are beautiful. And this is the first bigger one that I've owned. I've wanted the other ones, but I think they're $67, I don't want to say, somewhere in that price range, the $60 price range. But this one was just on my list. I knew at some point I was going to get it, and I got it on sale, so I was very happy about that. but this is my favorite palette from Huda Beauty, hands down. And then I have 3 palettes from Lunar Beauty. I Want Everything. This is another one that I kept the packaging because it's just stunning. And I haven't even used this palette yet. I'm going to. I don't like to do that with makeup, but it's actually one that I would like to keep forever. Like if you could preserve makeup, I probably wouldn't. But it's the Moon Spell palette. And this was another one that I wanted when it came out, and it sold out right away. And I had to like stalk the website to get it. But there's so many products from this brand that I do want to try. I haven't tried their lashes yet, a lip gloss, the blush palette I have to have at some point. And then there's just been a couple other palettes that I missed. But this is my favorite of the 3 that I own. And his packaging is everything. He really takes his time. Every single collection that he puts out is so personal. And if you follow him, you know, because he's into all of these things. And so this color start, I love how these are all named after a famous witch. So like I said, this is like special to me. And if it wasn't makeup that would get bad at some point, I would never use it. But I'm very happy to have this palette from Lunar Beauty. Put that back in its box because it's special. And then a few more brands that are high end, and then we'll get into some drugstore, which is the more affordable makeup. Urban Decay Born to Run, even though this palette has had its moment in the sun and now it's no longer, this is my most used palette. This made me feel like a makeup artist, not because of the skill, but because it was so fun to create looks, and it kind of did the work for you if you stuck to, you know, some of the little blocked off areas that it has here. I need another one of these weekender shades because it was my perfect, like, after putting on some eyeshadow primer, it was like my perfect lay down shade for that. And I've been savoring it now that it's got such a big pan in it. But I loved the purples, and then I really love this corner over here with the greens. And then this shade Smog, obviously that's almost gone as well. So this palette just has a lot of memories. I've used it. This was one of those palettes that when we were traveling, it would go with me because it gave me so much versatility. And I've seen a lot of people get rid of it from their collection, but for a long time, this is one that people would say they would never would because it was just that good. And so I have a few other palettes from Urban Decay. None of them have ever been this big of a favorite of mine. They've been okay. I have a few other ones, like the Reloaded is awesome. Honey's really good, but I didn't get Ultraviolet, and I really do want the Wild West. I see myself getting that one. It's probably for the packaging because it's so pretty, but I don't think that any of them will be as special to me as this one, because like I said, there was a time where I didn't use my other makeup because I was just so I couldn't wait to do it, to get into this and pick a new color story out of it. So it just offered so much. But that's my favorite palette from Urban Decay. And then I think this is like a good transition into the more affordable. This is from Ofra Cosmetics, and it's another collaboration. That is a theme for me. The people that I love on here, if they come out with a product of the brand, it goes to the top of my wish list, so other things will get bumped. But this is in collaboration with Leora 91. She's so pretty. She looks like J-Lo, and she's from Brooklyn, and I love her videos because she's always apologizing for the noise, but it just makes you feel like you're there. But she did this stunning palette, and I got it, and I have only used it once, so it doesn't even matter though. I have several palettes from Ofra, but this is the most special one to me just because she put it together, and this is my favorite highlight. I have this in full size, and then this green I just can't even. But these other colors are pretty too, and I feel like this is gonna be a palette that I can use in the summer and transition really easily into the fall. So it will get a lot more love in my collection soon, but that one was an easy choice just because it was a collab with someone that I've watched on here forever. And now we'll get into some of my more affordable brands, and then I'll mention a few runner-ups if I can find them. I have a lot going on here today, but I'll start with e.l.f. because e.l.f. is a brand that I do collab. I collab with e.l.f., just so you know. I support quite a bit because of the price point. And this is the Retro Paradise palette. Oh, that's horrible. I'll show you the colors in here. And this is one that I got this summer, and it was so fun to play with. This purple, these two together were stunning. This gave you a nice neutral look, but it looked summer. It looked like a summer neutral look. And I don't know, this was good quality. This was a $15 palette. I don't even think I paid that. I know I got it on sale. And it competed with anything I had bought over the summer for double the price. So I love that for us. I got a ton of those little bite-sized palettes, which I love as well. But this was just fun, more fun to play with because I almost said funner. I don't want to use words that aren't real on the internet. This was more fun to play with because it had more variety. So those are kind of a monochromatic color story. This one I could do something different. And sometimes I like to be slightly creative. I still like the palette to do a little bit of the work for me because I don't have any talent or skill in makeup. But this one just, you know, if I picked a color area, I got to be very creative and play. So that was fun. And that's my favorite palette from e.l.f. And then another few pretty popular brands that are affordable. Wet n Wild, this is the Ice Cream Bee collection, and I literally got this for one reason. Teresa's dead, did this in a what does she call those? No nonsense bingo? A really funny series on her channel where she talks about new makeup releases and plays bingo and has some drinks, and I highly recommend you check it out. But I did the same thing she did. I was probably drinking while watching that video, and it's this one, sorry. It's like this rainbow shade, and it's disappointing when you actually go to use it. But I thought it was gonna just change my life, but it didn't really do anything. But the other colors in this palette are very pretty. And I don't own a ton from Wet n Wild. I think it was just 3 palettes, so there wasn't a lot to choose from. But this is one that's gonna be very fun to pull out for summer and play with. And it was like $5.99. So very affordable. Like I said, sometimes it's affordable. It's quite the opposite of splurgy high-end. It's like the price point. I'm like, if I only sort of like it, it's worth it. Lottie London is my next brand. I'm trying not to make this video too long, so I know I'm kind of talking really fast. But I have quite a few little mini palettes from Lottie London. And this is the mauves, and I have the rusts, and I think I have the neutrals. I love this one. This is one that I can go into, and it makes a really beautiful eye look. And so, again, a nice work palette for me, but also I look very put together. And these are very, very affordable, and you can find them on Ulta. And that's all I really have to say about that. BH Cosmetics this summer came out with the Sweet Shop collection. And this is my favorite one I got. I got quite a few with more colors in it than this one. But this, again, you're going to see. I'm going to break the palette if I do it that way. I'm going to do it without the mirror. This is the Sugar Cone. And it's a nice brown palette, and like I said, it takes the work out of it for you. You have 4 mattes and 4 shimmers, so you can literally do a matte and a shimmer and just mix it up. But the quality of these was very good, and like I said, I got a couple of the colorful ones, but I needed something like this to start with because I can't start out with a colorful transition color and make it turn out. So this one I'm definitely glad I kept. And it's just one I can pull out. Like I said, I rotate my makeup a few palettes every week. I pull out just to make sure everything in my collection is getting a little bit of love because I have so much. And this one I've pulled out several times because I said it doesn't scare me to make a look, and they were affordable. And I get a lot of stuff from BH Cosmetics. I had quite a few palette choices to pick from. The next brand is Juvias Place, which Juvias Place is good. I used to get hyped over Juvias Place because of the quality and the price point. There's a few people on here that really spoke highly about it. And then I kind of fell off for a little bit. And then this year I've made a few purchases. And this was one of the things from this year. And this was from the recommendation of Mandy Lee. So I'm going to name people in here because they made me buy it. So this is also like a they made me buy it tag. And it's just, she talked about these like pukey green and mustard shades, and that this shimmer is everything, and it was enough. And like I said, this is an extremely affordable palette. They have colorful stories if you look at this and you think that's so boring. So you can get your colorful palette there. But I loved this one, and I have a few. I have like the coral one, a Nubian one, but this is my favorite. And like I said, I've only used it a few times, so it's not super beat up, but it makes a really pretty fall look. So the Nubian, or the Nomad by Juvias Place is my favorite Juvias Place palette. A few more brands. Alter Ego, I actually do, I don't know, like I don't want to get into the like stole the color story of, this one is because I couldn't have pulled the trigger on the $129 Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona, and I wanted some of these colors. So this is the Artemis palette by Alter Ego. They are a dupe brand, so they don't have any of their own color stories. They make color story palettes at a very affordable price that match other high-end brands. So again, they do a lot of Natasha Denona. I think they might dupe who else do they dupe? I think they dupe ABH, maybe Pat McGrath, but definitely Natasha Denona. They come for her. And this has a wet to, a cream to powder formula. That's very interesting. But I made some really pretty looks with this over the fall. And so this will be a palette that I pull out at that time of the year, and I'm happy to have it. I think it was like $22, and the Metropolis palette was $129, so that was easy for me to choose. But I don't really have an opinion on should they copy. They did, and I bought it. So, and then I didn't have enough Colourpop palettes to mention. No, I did. And I had to mention this one, even though I have several favorites from Colourpop. This is the So Jaded by a collaboration with Kathleen Lights. She's just another one that I've watched forever. I've bought everything that she's collabed with Colourpop on, but this one is your Muted Jewel Tone Dream, and it has 35, or 5 times 6 is 30. See, 30 shades of just, and like I said, it's a gemstone, so it's got a lot of the gemstone colors in here. So if I want to make like a birthstone color look, or you know, whatever, a pop of color, I have almost every pop of color in here that matches the gemstone. And so I love this palette. It's the only big palette that I own. I mean, I used to get some of those, like I didn't have anything from Morphe to share. I used to get those 35 pan palettes, but they are overwhelming. And when you only will end up going into 2 colors in a palette, then the rest of it starts to look kind of sad. Like, are you ever gonna play with me? And you're like, no, I'm gonna go into the 2 shades I always go into. So this is the biggest palette in my collection, but it's got enough variety that it doesn't feel like that. Like, I know if I go into this and I wanna do like some blues or some greens or some purples, I'm gonna use a big variety of shades, not just 2 of the oranges or 2 of the browns. So that is it for all the brands that I had at least 3 palettes from. And then I had a couple of runner-ups being palettes that I only have like 2 of, and I just wanted to share a couple of runner-ups. So Persona, I only have 2 palettes. I think there might be 3, but I only have 2. This is the Identity palette, and I just wanted to show this one because I've given it so much love. I mean, I remember when this first came out, everyone said this was the work palette. Like, you could use this neutral color story, but also these shimmers were next level. I didn't have anything at the time when this came out. I think they've even changed the packaging since I bought this, but that could compete with this palette. And then a brand this year that I had to, that's dramatic, I had to tell you about is Lawless Beauty. I never really had bought anything. They've been out for a long time. A lot of people on here really speak highly of this brand, and now I get why. I bought this palette, and just because of this mauve, I think, and the shimmers spoke to me. The rest I didn't need, but I was like, you know what, it's pretty. I'll do something with it. I think it was $25. It's a mini. It's called the baby one. And as soon as I bought this, I put the bigger palette, which is like $60, in my cart at Sephora. So that's how good it is. I have used this palette so many times, and I just like, I'm gonna do something different. And every time it looks so good. And I get so many compliments. Like, people at work will say, oh, did you get some new makeup? And I'm like, no, same palette. I just put them in a different order. So it's like, this palette is one of the ones in my collection that does the work for me. Like, I'm just sitting over here drinking my coffee trying to wake up, and it puts together like a beautiful eye look. So I didn't realize how crazy my hair looked. Sorry, guys. This was a runner-up, but I had to mention it because just because I don't have 3 palettes doesn't make it was a favorite. So that was my other runner-up. And I think I had a few more, but I'm gonna let you guys go. This video is gonna be super long. And if you've watched to this point, you're my favorite. So put that down in the comments that you watched this point. And if you're gonna do this tag, I'll leave the person that created it and then the rules down below so you guys can do it. I just love watching them. So I would tag me in it so that I can see it. And I'll be bringing you more, I'm sure, because as I'm going through old stuff that I've kind of always wanted to do, and I'm having so much fun creating videos, and I can't be hauling all the time. So I hope you guys like this kind of content as well. But anyways, I'm gonna let you go. I hope you have a great day. I will see you guys in a video very soon. Take care of yourselves.